When he said, "I hope you know what you're doing," what did he think you were doing?
Well, he read the press reports that I joined the board of Burisma, which was a Ukrainian natural gas company. There's been a lot of misinformation about me, not about my dad. Nobody buys that, but it buys this idea that I was unqualified to be on the board.
What were your qualifications to be on the board of Burisma?
Well, I was vice chairman of the board of Amtrak for 5 years. I was the chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program. I was a lawyer for Boies Schiller Flexner, one of the most prestigious law firms in the world. Bottom line is that I know that I was completely qualified to be on the board to head up the corporate governance and transparency committee on the board. And that's all that I focused on. Basically turning a Eastern European independent natural gas company into an Western standards of corporate governance.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, so here, once he starts down the path and he starts telling you all the things that made him, he's got all the right qualifications for whatever role it was, and he rattles those off. See that forehead drop? When he first starts off and he's on the ropes, though, look, he's doing that thing again. This, yeah, like he's talking to a parent. Then once he gets to a point, you let him chaff and redirect, and you let him blast out all of his qualifications. He's comfortable. He's got it. He's got exactly what he needs. His hands even come open away from that barriered pose, and he starts to almost pound on the desk, almost illustrate what he's thinking. This one's not as messy as the other things he's doing, where he's being fed the information, where he's being... Now, is she challenging him and saying, yeah, but, okay, every one of those things you got into because of this or that. If she challenged him there, if she were interrogating him, he might come loose a little bit more, but you see that lack of forehead involvement as he's reciting his answer for why he was qualified. And that's what I got. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to discount the whole of the first part of this particular clip because it is so edited. It is so shockingly edited that I can't really, there's nothing for me to grab hold of. But that's okay. There's some stuff at the end of this for me, which is I do like the way he illustrates at the end the transition of the company from Eastern standards to Western standards. His illustrator there is strong and concrete and congruent. I totally believe that he believed that's what his job was. That's what he was there for, to transition an Eastern company into one with Western standards of governance, because he's very strong around that. However, we do see this one eye flutter on qualified. I suspect he questions himself whether he was truly qualified for that. There seems to be some asymmetrical stress around the idea of qualification, but no stress on this is the job I was there to do. Now, whether he had that job or not, or was convinced that was his function and why he was brought in as a qualified individual, I don't know. But I think he believes that what he was told about his function there, he believes that to be true. Chase, what do you got on this one?
Did Scott go already?
No.
Scott, we burned you up last time. Let's
okay, good idea. Scott, go for it.
I know where you're going, Chase. I was so when you first pointed, I was like, "Yeah, man," because Chase is going to get this one. Sorry, Chase, got to take this one because okay, there were 11 cuts in 23 seconds, and there were 7 of them in the first 10 seconds. No. This is by the time this thing was over, it had been chopped up so much, I was a nervous wreck because I couldn't follow. What he's saying makes sense, but it doesn't make complete sense, which makes him look even worse. So this really bothers me. So Mark, I'm with you. That first part doesn't even count. You can't tell what's really going on. As you know, when you're looking at body language, you always talk about how you have to look at the complete picture. You have to take everything going on. And you have to put that into context with what the person is saying. And we can't tell what's going on because it's so chopped up. There's time missing in all those things. So most of this was rehearsed, and he was ready for that long answer he was given when she asked him why he was qualified. He just lies, that head goes down, he comes forward a little bit, and he starts talking, those eyes just hypnotizing almost. So he's ready for that, and he grabs his wrist, almost grabs it as an adapter. It goes over there fairly quickly. I'm going to say grabs, but he does hold on to his wrist, and that's an adapter. And Yeah, the editing on this is just so bad. It's hard to keep up with. It really is. But you're right, Mark. I caught that thing with the eyes as well when he talks about being qualified. Mm-hmm. Go back and take a look at that, or when it comes through this time, because his eyes, they don't even close all the way. One goes down almost all the way, and the other one comes right behind it, but they don't close all the way. It's really weird. He's thinking hard about that, and his brain is saying, "No, man, hang on. You got to be really careful right in here." So I don't think he believes he was qualified for that. That's what I think. That shows the lack of confidence to the maximum, right there, to the max. All right, Chase, what do you got?
I didn't see all the editing. I saw some. I saw some.
Okay,
editing.
I thought you were going to eat me alive on that. Now I have nothing.
No way. So I think in the beginning, the very beginning of this, we're seeing some truthful baseline. At the very beginning, he's moving around. He's illustrating. He looks like a comfortable human. If you were to ask a third grader, which person is comfortable, the person moving around, I mean, they're all going to say that. We know this as humans. And he moves his eyes when speaking. He doesn't lock eyes while he's speaking when he's being truthful. And you can see him illustrating and all this. And when he says, "I know that I was completely qualified," he doesn't say that I was qualified. He says, "I know that I was completely qualified." And when he says the words qualified around that whole subject, it's almost to me like he's resisting an eye block with eye flutter. Mm-hmm. He's trying to prevent that from happening. What's funny, his dad does the same thing when he's being deceptive. And remember what I said about politicians? Trump does a head tilt, distance language, and then steps back from the podium when he's lying. This is just a thing that politicians do. So there's no one-sidedness here, but he does take a lot of behaviors from his dad.
Mark, Chase, when I'm teaching, I call people professional liars. I say interrogators, lawyers, politicians. That's us.
Yeah, and
Mark,
Don Jr. has a lot of behaviors of Don Sr.
Who's the guy in The Godfather, Mark? The main guy who's the Godfather in the movie?
Brando.
Brando. That's what Chase looks like. Brando. I'll lean back. It looks like The Godfather. Just tell him what he thinks about whatever it is.
When he said, "I hope you know what you're doing," what did he think you were doing?
Well, he read the press reports that I joined the board of Burisma, which was a Ukrainian natural gas company. There's been a lot of misinformation about me, not about my dad. Nobody buys that, but it buys this idea that I was unqualified to be on the board.
What were your qualifications to be on the board of Burisma?
Well, I was vice chairman of the board of Amtrak for 5 years. I was the chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program. I was a lawyer for Boyce, Schiller, Flexner, one of the most prestigious law firms in the world. Bottom line is that I know that I was completely qualified to be on the board to head up the corporate governance and transparency committee on the board. And that's all that I focused on. Basically turning a Eastern European independent natural gas company into an Western standards of corporate governance.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.